Everyone, and welcome back to today's episode. I'm really excited for today because we're going to be talking about depression. So I brought one of my really good friends from class from last semester. Her name's Rylee. Rylee, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi guys. My name's Rylee. I met Kyra when we had two classes together. So we had family problems and solutions and then marital problems and solutions. Then we became really good friends. We sat by each other. And now we're just hanging out.
Yeah, there you go. We were talking about depression in one of our classes or something. And, it was family problems and solutions. And I was like, hey, will you do a podcast episode with me on it? And she was like, yeah, let's do it. And then we were both busy. And so I said, next semester. And she said, yep. So here we are. But it's good to see you. So I'm glad that you were able to come out. It's fun that we live in town, but then we don't get to see each other, so that's kind of hard. So anyway,
but it's like we're those friends that like we don't have to see each other.
Yes,
you
just
it's
pick
not
up.
Like awkward.
No, I definitely have friends where you see each other and you're like, hey, you're like class friends, and then there's friends where you can be like, let's just pick up where we left off.
For real.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about depression. We don't have a script. We didn't ask ChatGPT to write us a script, though that would have been funny. So anyway, we're just gonna kind of go for it, Why is depression something that you feel is important to you?
Lots of my family members struggle with depression.
Yeah.
And I had for the longest time. Mm-hmm. I don't think I really have depression anymore. I went through a really dark time for a while.
Yeah.
And I kind of got out of that funk once I started, this is just what I did, just focusing on myself more, being in control of the things that I know I can be in control of. Mm-hmm. And literally, I've just been so much happier. But yeah, I think depression definitely is genetic. I know my dad has it. And it's just sad to see because it's like there's nothing you can really do about it for some people. Meds help some people. I went on meds for a little bit and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I could not feel my emotions. Like, I'd rather cry than just not be able to cry. Mm-hmm. So that's why. And my sisters also struggle with it pretty bad. Right now, they're younger than me and in high school. So it's really sad to see my sisters go through that because I knew exactly how it felt. And it's just sad because I love them with my whole heart. So it's just sad to see them like that.
Yeah, no, 100%. I feel like we should probably define what depression is. A lot of you, when, you find an episode about depression, you're like, been there, done that, But maybe some people don't understand. And it has been really interesting being someone who's struggled with it because when you explain it to someone who hasn't, they, have a hard time understanding. Does that make sense?
Yes, because they're like, just be happy.
Yeah,
but it's literally something in your brain that's like, 100%. I freaking can't be happy. And it's nothing with me. It's just literally the chemical imbalance or whatever.
I'm taking a class this semester called Positive Psychology. I freaking love it. It's one of my favorites so far. It's taught by one of my favorite professors as well, so there's always that. But one of the things that we've talked about is we've read this book called The How of Happiness, and she talks about how happiness is 50% your genetics. So you have a set point of happiness of 50%. 40% is what you can do and what you can change and how you live life. So interventions like gratitude or relationships or things like that. And then 10% of your happiness is circumstances. That's what they found. Isn't that really interesting?
That's really, really interesting.
Yeah. So some people just have higher set points of happiness and are able to be happy more easily. And some people have lower set points, but that doesn't mean that you can't be happy because there's still 40% that you can influence, which is nuts to me. That's a good amount. That's a solid amount that you can influence. Yeah. And so even if maybe your circumstances aren't the best, my guess is your set point's not zero. You're going to have something. And so that 10% is easily overcome by all of the other things that you can do to find happiness and to be joyful. But when I was a teenager, anytime anyone said be happy or had stickers with be happy on it, I literally was like, I'm going to punch you.
I know. So
it made me so mad. Undescribably mad. But now I'm like, you know nothing, you know, or I'm like, oh, they're so naive. Or I also think maybe they think that happiness is something that is attainable if you're not struggling with depression, which I think I agree with. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're not struggling with chemical imbalances in your brain, then I think there's a lot you can do to influence your happiness. Anyway, that's kind of my thoughts. So, what depression is, I'm not even going to lie, guys, today I downloaded ChatGPT and was like, that's it, I'm tired fighting this. So I asked it to define depression. So it says, depression is not just feeling sad. It's a complex mental health condition that impacts a person's thoughts, feelings, and behavior. It often involves persistent feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and a loss of interest in activities once enjoyed. But it's more than just a low mood. It's a pervasive darkness that can consume one's life.
Oh, that was dark. That last.
It was kind of dark, but it's true, though.
It
I
is.
mean, I don't know if I'm like, depression, what a fun topic.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Just got dark real quick.
Oh. I kind of wanted to talk about anhedonia, and I'm sure a lot of people haven't heard of that. Have you heard of anhedonia?
No.
So what anhedonia is a lack of pleasure or less interest or lack of interest in your hobbies. It's like social withdrawal, diminished pleasure derived from daily activities. So let's say that you in my case, I absolutely loved to play basketball. And so with anhedonia, the things that used to bring you a lot of happiness and a lot of joy just don't anymore. So like things that I would love to do, like reading or playing basketball or hanging out with friends, like I just wouldn't have an interest in doing that as much anymore. Would you find that that's been something that you've struggled with before, like a loss of just enjoyment?
Definitely. Because when I ran at UVU my freshman year, absolutely loved running all my life. And when I got to UVU, that's kind of when I started feeling, I was like, something's like off with myself. And I was just like, I just don't like running anymore. Obviously, like I was burnt out, but there was something else to it. I was like, I just can't enjoy it. Yeah. And I didn't really want to go out and hang out with friends. I would just kind of sit in my room, and then I'd be annoyed when my roommates would be like, come hang out with us. And I'd be like, oh, I just want to sit. And
I just want to sit here and stare at the ceiling and be sad, but also I don't, but I have to because that's what my brain's telling me to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. One thing that I also wrote is that it's hard to get up. You just don't care about things you like anymore and you'd rather do nothing.
Yep.
I feel like that's pretty accurate. I saw this video the other day and I saved it. When I say the other day, I mean like over a year ago. Well, I don't know. Let me see the date on my phone. I love that my phone will do that for me. But anyway, I watch it every once in a while and it makes me laugh every single stinking time. April 26th. Okay, so it's this video and it says me leaving the house for plans I made when I was in an extroverted mood. And it's this guy walking and like throwing things off a desk. So I'll let you watch it. And then there's a laughing track in the back. So anyway.
No, it's literally so true.
Yeah, so there's a video, like I said, the guy's like just throwing things off the desk and has a straight face. So I find myself, I struggle sometimes with that. Like I'll make plans and I'll be like, oh, why did I do that?
No, literally exactly same.
So
literally same.
But then most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time when I do follow through, I enjoy it. And I'm like, okay, you know, I knew that when I got out, I would enjoy getting out. But yeah.
It's like picking up a shift, like, ugh, why did I do that?
Oh, true.
And then I get there and I'm like, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, more money.
100%. No, exactly. As a struggling college student, I can say I concur. Another thing I wanted to talk about are beliefs that you have when you have depression. So when you have depression, you're very irrational. You can't think through things straight. You can't make these things like match in your head. And so something that I've, experienced and that I know is one belief is nothing is ever going to change. It's like you're wearing like gray colored glasses. You just look at the world and you're like, wow, what a sad life,
Yeah.
And it's not even possible to feel rational. There are lots of times where I remember thinking, I know this isn't rational and I know this isn't logical, but I still feel this way. And that was infuriating for me because I was like, this isn't even real, but it is, but it's not, Do you have any irrational thoughts or things that you believed when you were struggling?
I think I just felt super stuck.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And A lot. I was just blaming myself. What am I doing? Like, what am I doing wrong? Why can't I be like this? And always comparing myself to other people.
Yeah.
Especially my appearance. And I think the appearance, judging yourself, is a huge part of that. For me, anyways, it was.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. I do feel like when you're struggling with depression, you're way more critical of yourself.
Yes.
And honestly of others, too. I feel like I just had less patience for people.
No, literally, I was like, just go away. Like, I don't even want to hang out with you.
I was just irritated.
Pissing me off. Like, just leave.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to talk about something maybe a little bit more controversial. Let's see what you think. Depression being a trend nowadays. What do you think?
That's really hard.
Yeah.
I feel like lots of people have it, but I feel like people are way more, which is totally fine. Oh, I have depression. Like, oh, I tried to kill myself. Putting that out in the open. Kind of like a quirky thing.
Yeah. I don't like it.
No.
I really dislike it.
No.
I think it's very disingenuous.
Yes. Because then there's people that struggle with it so bad. And then people on TikTok or whatever are just like, I have depression. Like, my mom's a therapist, and people will come in all the time self-diagnosing themselves. And just because TikTok said, 3 signs that you have depression.
Stop it right now. That's so true.
Yeah.
Does this describe you?
Yeah.
Does
you have
sound
depression?
accurate? Yeah. 100%. I also wrote down self-fulfilled prophecy. As in, I've diagnosed myself with depression. Now I'm going to make sure that I have it.
No, exactly. I'm going to blame everything on depression.
I'm going to do things that will make me depressed, basically.
Yes.
You know?
I'm going to watch all this sad stuff to make it so I'm just sad.
100%. I'm not even going to lie to you. I think there are some TV shows that are literally the devil's work because they're just depressing and there's nothing good that comes from them.
No.
I haven't seen this show because I refuse, but have you heard of 13 Reasons Why?
Yeah.
Did you ever watch it?
I watched that, yeah.
But I heard that it's just so depressing and there's not really any happiness from it. And so that was something that I know some people were like, oh my gosh, I'm just like struggling so much and I've been watching this show. I'm like, girl, you think that's going to make you happy?
For real, because it's like, I think the story's really good. But also, at the same time, you get the weirdest vibe from it.
Yes.
It's like, you know, in shows and movies and stuff, there's like different filters. Like in Twilight, what is that filter? Just weird, you know? And then like, I don't know, Good Luck Charlie, whatever. It's like bright filter.
Are you talking about like the tone of it,
yes,
kind of?
Just the whole
tone. The vibe, the tone.
The whole vibe.
100%.
Like, I think I only watched the show one time because I was like, I just feel weird. Like, there's just those shows that are just like, only a one-time thing because it's just, like, I feel weird.
What? They don't give you happy feelings inside.
No.
And I genuinely believe 100% that content we consume influences us.
It definitely does.
Like when I'm watching certain things, I have different dreams and different nightmares and different things. Or there are different words that I don't normally use in my vocabulary that are in my mind that aren't necessarily positive.
Well, like growing up, we're always taught what you watch.
Yes.
Like that's just, I don't know. Not who you're going to be, but that's what you're surrounding yourself with.
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%. I also think that it kind of makes certain topics more... I think the whole point was, you know, let's get it out there so that we can talk about it easier. But it's also like, no, this is a trend now, you know.
Yeah.
Let's spread hope, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And I don't want to use the word, like, sacred, but that's the only thing I can think of.
No, that's
but it's
very,
like,
yes.
Depression and that kind of stuff is very...
Well, it's very vulnerable.
Yes, for people. And when you're just throwing it out there, like, I get, let's have a healthy stigma on it and ask for help. But then it's like, where do we draw the line when it's just like
100%
annoying, especially with like our generation and like all like these middle schoolers and whatever, like
100%.
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, and once again, the self-fulfilled prophecy. I feel like if they're like, you know what? Depression sounds kind of, I don't know, I want to try it out. You know? That maybe sounds dumb, but like subconsciously, I'm sure that goes through people's minds.
Definitely.
And then... well, you know, I really like Instagram. I really like social media. And then before you know it, you've spent like 3 hours and you're comparing yourself and, you know, it's this whole mess. And so anyway, going back to that 40%, There's so much we can do to change our happiness. And I don't know exactly how that all goes into it with depression, but the book specifically has a whole chapter on depression and says, if you're depressed, these interventions may not work yet. You know, you got to go get help with that first. Mm-hmm. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is this theory or idea that you start at the bottom of needs that you need. Needs that you need. Of things that you need in order to be happy and things you need in order to be fulfilled. So the very bottom is physiological needs. So water, food, things like that. The next one's safety. So that's like roof over your head, you know, stability, structure. The next one's love and belonging. And then above that's esteem, so self-esteem. And then above that is self-actualization. So you can't really have... It's really hard to have love and belonging and self-esteem and self-actualization if you don't have your physiological needs met and your safety needs met. Mm-hmm. Did you want to add anything to that?
People in lower economic countries,
100%.
You know, they don't really get that.
Physiological?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep, I couldn't read that word.
That's totally okay.
Physiological needs, you know, just kind of the environment. They're not like doing that to themselves on purpose. That's just how it is. And same with the safety needs. We're really lucky in this country to be able to have that. I mean, some people in this country still don't have that.
Right.
So I also think that definitely plays a role in depression and mental illness.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to go, I know we're literally jumping all over the place, but what's new with me? But I wanted to talk about things that helped when you were depressed. For me, looking forward to the little things. Yes. And still in my life, I would say I'm not struggling with depression at all right now. But looking forward to the little things makes me so happy. I also have always I don't love, and it doesn't really speak to me one day at a time. Because I'm like, some days are really hard. Yeah. Yes. I don't want to be in the moment, and I don't want to be breathing deep because this is hard and
like
this is
painful. If you're just having a crappy day, you're like
100%. Yeah.
I want to go to bed.
Yeah, no, seriously. So something that speaks more to me that I like is one bite at a time rather than one day at a time. Mm-hmm. Because let's say you have to eat the elephant. That's just what it is. Well, if I can do it one bite at a time, that I can do that, you know? But if I'm like one day at a time, like, wow, that's a lot, you know? And so that's kind of something that I've enjoyed, looking forward to little things and thinking one bite at a time. You know, one thing at a time.
Yeah.
What's something that helped you when you were struggling?
Well, literally my mom would just say, you know, do little things that make you happy. I love to go swing. I've been swinging since I was a little girl. And still to this day, I love doing that.
That's so precious.
So not every day, a lot though, when I was up at UVO, I had this park that was literally like a 2-minute drive that I would go to at night and just listen to music and just hung out with myself. And then I would get to see my grandparents on Sundays. So literally just enjoying those little things and doing stuff that makes you happy. I literally love food.
Yeah.
So like if I was just, like now I don't really think I have depression. Mm-hmm. I've been very happy lately. That's like probably not very healthy to be like, oh, I can't wait to go eat this. But it like helps me throughout the day.
Well, it's the little things you're looking forward to. 100%. Yes. Yeah. So I wanted to do something that is going to be kind of funny, but also maybe kind of dark. And I'm sure Rylee knows what I'm talking about. But when I was 16, I was going through online and just looked up quotes on depression. I don't know why I did that, but I did. And I took picture of the ones that were seriously so true, or like spoke to me, or I was like, whoa, that's deep. So some of these are pretty dark, I will admit, but also we're gonna laugh at them and be like, true, but also life can be so much better. So I think it'd be fun. And the problem is you guys can't see what it looks like because the images are the best part. Like, for example, I'm looking at one where there's this girl that's shriveled up in like a,
it's like a glass bathtub or something.
Yes.
Yeah. Like a cube.
And it's a cube and it looks like there's water and she's like underneath the water and it says, I am not living, I am surviving. And I feel like that's pretty accurate with depression. You're not living, it's just survival mode.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And then this one says, I feel lost inside of myself. And
that was just...
And there's just a guy that's like looking off, but it looks like there's a forest in him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like shadow.
Uh-huh. And then this one's sad. You sometimes think you want to disappear, but all you really want is to be found.
Yeah, that I don't know why it's like funny.
No, it's so funny. It's really funny. Oh, let's
that's
see.
So sad.
No, seriously. Okay, this one says, that's the thing about depression. A human being can survive almost anything as long as they see the end in sight. But depression is so insidious and it compounds daily that it's impossible to ever see the end. The fog is like a cage without a key.
Oh my gosh.
I
That's
know.
so descriptive.
I know. That's
cave
why
without a key?
That's why I took a picture. A cage.
Oh, cage.
Yeah, a cage without a key.
Oh, that's sad though.
The reason that I took pictures of these is because they spoke to me and because they were kind of validating. Like, oh my gosh, that's so true. You know? So maybe these are validating to you. They used to be to me. Now I just am like, oh my gosh. So if we're laughing at them, I don't want you to think they're ridiculous. The reason I took a picture of them in January of 2019 was because they spoke to me and I was like, oh my gosh, so true. So this quote is, when you have depression, simply existing is a full-time job.
No, that's so true.
Yeah.
And that just shows how exhausting it is.
It is.
You know, like I'm not even working full-time, but I'm exhausted. And
you get sleep, and you're exhausted, and you sleep extra, and then you're exhausted.
Yes.
And then you're exhausted because you slept too much, but you just need to sleep to check out.
Yes.
Yeah. This quote says, depression is a prison where you are both the suffering prisoner and the cruel jailer. That one speaks to you
That
with
is.
being critical, huh?
Yeah.
And that one's by Dorothy Rowe. Most of these don't have a author.
Well, it's kind of like in jail, like sometimes you don't know when you're going to get out. And it's like with depression, you're like, is this ever going to end?
Yeah.
You know?
100%. J.K. Rowling said, it's so difficult to describe depression to someone who's never been there because it's not sadness.
Yeah. Did she have like bad depression?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I do feel like people that struggle with depression sometimes thrive in creating things like art or movies or books or things like that because there is beauty in that suffering because you want to make meaning. So that's something that's interesting.
That is.
This says, depression is feeling like you've lost something, but having no clue when or where you last had it. Then one day you realize what you lost is yourself. These pictures are funny. This one's the best, probably.
Oh, yeah.
There's like different faces that are empty. There's like no face.
Well, it's literally like you're trying to be like, what is wrong with me? Or what am I sad about?
Yes.
But you can't find the source.
There's not a source most of the time.
There's not a source.
You're just sad. Yeah. This quote is, they ask, how are you doing? But what they mean is, are you over it yet? My lips say, fine, thanks, but my eyes tell a different story. My heart sings a different tune, and my soul just weeps.
Oh.
Yeah, that one's sad.
That's sad. I'm just thinking about just reading those quotes and stuff. It's just like, these poor, I don't know why I'm thinking like younger kids.
No, true.
That are just, because, you know, like growing up too is hard.
Yeah.
Having freaking depression on top of that.
Oh, yeah, it's hard. And adolescence is when people struggle with it a lot, you know? This one, we were talking about sleep. I want to sleep until I feel better.
Oh.
I know.
Same though.
The good news, I know. The good news to this quote is that I feel like it has been for me. And this is where the I get it now moments come in. This quote says, this is by Elizabeth Wurtzgel. I don't know how to say her last name. That is all I want in life, for this pain to seem purposeful. And honestly, I can feel like in my life, looking back, it 1000% does seem
cute.
Purposeful because I've seen so many people and met so many people where the pain in my past has been such a great way to connect.
Yes.
And it's not like I've like had depression, it's more like, hey, I have learned that life is beautiful and worth living. And I can say that because I knew there was a time when I didn't think that.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I've enjoyed in the past.
Do you ever I was literally just thinking the other day, I don't want to bring my stupid ex-boyfriend into this.
No, go ahead.
But it's like I struggled for so long with him, and I finally got out of it, and I've literally never been happier. Like, whatever, like, he made me happy, but at the same time, he didn't. And so I was just thinking the other night, I was just crying to myself, because I was just like, poor Rye. I was just crying in my bed, like, poor Rye. I'm just crying for my younger self, because it's like, you went through that. you know? And it's just so the same thing with you probably. I went through that, and I feel, like, so bad for myself.
Yeah.
Because I went through that, and now, like, I'm happy.
Yeah.
But back then, you're like...
Yeah.
I'm so sad.
100%.
Yeah.
I actually look back to my past self, and I'm like, girl, you did it. Well done.
No, seriously.
I wish I could go back and be like, if you could just hang in there for just a little bit longer. This quote, we were talking back to sleep. When you suffer from depression, I'm tired means a permanent state of exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix.
It's just like a mental, all over, just exhaustion.
It is.
Like literally physical, emotional.
This quote says, I have depression, but I prefer to say I battle depression instead of I suffer with it. Because depression hits, but I hit back. Battle on.
Send that one. Girl, that one's
Isn't
so
that
good.
I told you, I was just going through and taking pictures of these because I was like, oh my gosh, so true.
Like,
so
we
true.
got out of that.
Oh yeah. Depression is being colorblind and constantly told how colorful the world is. I feel like that was sometimes true for me. Like, just be happy. Like, don't you think I could if I would? Like, I would if I could. Yeah.
Who doesn't want to be happy?
100%. There comes a point when you no longer care if there's a light at the end of the tunnel or not. You're just sick of the tunnel.
Oh.
Isn't that kind of accurate?
Yes. Do you want me to read this one I found? It's not really depression.
Yeah, read it.
This is just a cute quote.
Yeah.
Don't compare your life to others. There's no comparison between the sun and the moon. They shine when it's their time. That's just really cute.
I do love that. So this episode was not meant to be depressing, but honestly, I feel like if you have depression and you listen to this episode, hearing some of these things might be validating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like hearing, it does feel like a prison. And I'm the prisoner and the jailer, dang it.
I'm the girl in the water.
Yeah. I'm just surviving, guys. Yes. This is just survival mode. So I want you to know, we are not making light of depression, but I also think that there's a beauty in bringing humor into things that are sad.
No, I do that all the time.
Because, one, it's a good coping mechanism. It really is, as long as you're able to actually face those feelings eventually. Yeah. But also to realize and understand that even though, you know, we've both struggled with depression, that's not who we are.
No.
You know?
Like, it doesn't define.
Yeah.
You shouldn't say,
I am depressed.
I am depressed. I have
depression. I'm struggling with depression. Uh-huh. I'm battling depression, as
I'm
the
gonna
quote
overcome
says.
it. Yeah.
I hit back. Yeah. So I definitely think it's worth it to enjoy and celebrate the little things, for sure. So let's do the word of the day real quick. This is besmirch. And if you ever just are having a bad day, I think you should look it up on Google and have her say it to you, because she's like, besmirch. It's really funny.
So that right on.
Oh, yeah. So this is what it means. It's a verb, and it's to damage the reputation of someone or something in the opinion of others. So it's kind of like to sully something. So if you were to, I don't even know if you know what to sully means, but it's like to make something dirty or discolored. So this example was, the ground was besmirched with blood. Wow, that's dark. Oh. Okay. That was just the example, guys. Or this is like damaging the reputation of someone. He had besmirched the good name of his family. And I feel like this was related because every once in a while when we're struggling, I feel like some people drag others down. Yes. And I wish that wasn't the case. I wish we lifted people up.
It's just our nature, I feel like.
I feel like it is sometimes, for sure. And so when you're struggling with depression, those irrationalities just kind of take control. And sometimes we aren't very nice to someone, or we say bad things about people behind their backs, or rumors or whatever. And I wish it wasn't that way, but yeah. So when you're damaging the reputation of someone in the opinion of others, you're besmirching them. Yeah. Which I don't recommend.
No, either. It's kind of a fun word, though.
It is a fun word. Besmirch. Especially on Google. I'm not kidding you. She's like, besmirch.
She said what? She sounds like a college girl.
She sounds like I don't even know how to describe it. It's like, oh my gosh. Let's just play it for you. You're probably not going to enjoy it as much as I do, but.
Besmirch. Besmirch.
Besmirch. Besmirch. Was there anything you wanted to finish with?
Any
imparting thoughts?
If you literally are struggling, I know it's so hard to reach out.
Yeah.
But there's so many people around you, you know. If you feel like no one's there for you, trust me, someone is.
Yeah.
literally text me or Kyra.
Yeah, 100%.
We got you. Literally, we're not going to have solutions, but it really helps to just
talk to someone.
Talk to someone, because
100%.
don't ever say sorry for
being a burden. Yeah, 100%.
Because, you know, you'd rather have you here, obviously.
100%. People need you. Like, I don't think people always understand that people need you. You're irreplaceable. There's a magic about you that is just your own. We don't want it gone. You know, you bring a light to the world that no one else can bring. So anyway, I wanted to add, there is 2 podcast episodes specifically about hope and finding hope. So I will link those down below or tell you what episode number they are. I also wrote a blog post called Happiness Exists, I Promise. And I'll link that down below too. I want this to be a resource of like, depression is really awful and really terrible, but there is hope, there is joy. And maybe if you don't have depression, but you've been curious what the heck it is, or, you know, not what the heck it is, I'm sure you know, but what it's like or things like that. Maybe the quotes that we shared or the things we talked about kind of are helpful. But I totally agree with Rylee, and I love what she said. Reach out, because it's going to be hard, but reaching out is half the battle, I feel like, sometimes when you're, you know, all alone and by yourself. So thank you guys so much for listening. Don't forget to embrace imperfection, find meaning, satisfaction, and joy from the journey. I'm Kyra.
I'm Rylee.
And this is Imperfectly Broken, the podcast.
Do 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 do.